Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today, I want to share a recipe for a very delicious cake. It's made from the most accessible ingredients, and I'm sure you'll love it too. This will be my take on the Bounty cake. Let's start with the coconut filling. Here I have 140 grams of butter. You can also use coconut butter. Adding a pinch of salt and 100 grams of milk. Of course, you can use coconut milk too. Also, 150 grams of sugar. I put it on medium heat. And stirring. I wait until all the butter completely melts. You don't need to boil anything, the mixture just needs to get hot. By the way, on my channel, there's a recipe for Bounty bars as well. The mixture has warmed up nicely, and the butter has melted. I take the pot off the heat and add shredded coconut, not all at once, but gradually. Make sure to use good quality, oily shredded coconut. Then the cake will turn out delicious and aromatic. On average, I used 100 to 250 grams of shredded coconut. If yours is drier, then, of course, you'll need less. Just add a little at a time, mix, and see. You should get this kind of coconut mush. Now, cover it with a lid and leave it on the table. All the ingredients will blend together nicely, and the shredded coconut will soak up even better. Once it cools down, we can assemble the cake. For this cake, I'm using my favorite sponge cake, the recipe for which is already on my channel. I'll leave a link in the video description. It has a rich chocolate taste and aroma. I cut it into 3 layers. Now let's prepare the cream. All the ingredients must be very cold. I used 380 grams of cream cheese and 400 grams of heavy cream. Sugar, of course, adjust to taste. I find 50 grams is enough since both the sponge and the coconut filling are sweet. Just mix all the components together and beat until smooth. The cream should have at least 30% fat content, suitable for whipping. If you can't find cream cheese, you can simply use thick sour cream. It will be delicious too. I start beating at low speed to break down the cheese. Then gradually increase the speed until the mixture is homogeneous. I always leave an exact list of all the ingredients in the video description. As soon as the cream becomes smooth and thick, I immediately turn off the mixer to avoid overbeating the cream. The result is a very airy, fluffy, and tasty cream. For convenience, I'll assemble the cake in a springform pan. I line the sides with acetate tape. The sponge cake turns out quite moist, but if desired, you can additionally soak it a bit. Today, I'm using milk. You can use coconut milk or just cream. I'm not adding any sweetener. The sweetness is enough for me. It's more convenient to divide the cream roughly. I split most of it in half. These will be the layers between the sponge cakes, and the smaller part into 3 portions. One small portion, one transfer immediately into a pastry bag. I spread half of the larger portion onto the cake layer and distribute it evenly. The cream is very easy to work with, so it spreads quickly. Next, I create a border of cream. By the way, this is entirely optional. You can simply spread all the filling over the cream surface. My coconut filling has cooled down and become even denser. I divide it in half, and one part spread over the cream. It's very pliable, so it spreads easily and quickly. About half of the cream goes for the border, and the second part goes over the filling. To ensure the cake holds its shape well, the sponge cake must adhere well. So it's necessary to cover the filling with at least a thin layer of cream. I first spread it in a spiral, then just smooth it out with a spoon. Cover with the second cake layer and press it down well. Again, soak, then cream, filling, and cream again. I use approximately 150 grams of milk for soaking the whole cake. If you don't have a springform pan, just assemble it in the same pan you used for baking the sponge. The cake turns out tall, so you can increase the height of the pan using parchment paper. You often ask me what my favorite cake is. And now I can definitely say that Bounty is in the top 5. I just adore coconut and everything related to it. But with the taste and texture of this cake, I'm 100% satisfied. I've wanted to come up with my own version of a Bounty cake for a long time. And for the past 6 months or so, I've been occasionally daydreaming about this cake. If you're a coconut lover, definitely give it a try. It might become your favorite too. I seal the top with a small amount of cream to hide all the crumbs. And then I distribute the rest evenly. The cake should be well soaked and stabilized, so I put it in the fridge for at least a few hours. I usually make it in the evening, so I leave it overnight. Make sure to cover the top to prevent it from drying out. My cake has soaked well. I remove the ring and acetate tape. The cake looks beautiful on the sides, so sometimes I don't prepare additional cream for smoothing. I only decorate the top with icing, but this time I decided to cover the edges with cream. Chocolate icing for covering the cake. Here I have 80 grams of dark chocolate and 40 grams of butter. But of course, you can also use coconut butter. Melt it using any convenient method. I heat it in the microwave for 15 seconds at a time and mix it well. You can also transfer it to a saucepan and heat it on the stove. You should get such a smooth and beautiful glaze. Of course, if you prefer, you can use milk chocolate or a combination of both milk and dark chocolate. Simply pour it over the top and spread it with a table knife. Since the cake is cold, the glaze sets very quickly. Since we're making a bounty cake, there must be glaze on top, just like in the candy bar. Of course, if you prefer not to, you can skip it. You can also prepare some additional cream, smooth the cake on all sides, sprinkle with crumbs, or add some other decoration on top. Today, I felt like going for this minimalist option. In my opinion, it looks very appetizing and beautiful. The cake turns out very stable, so you can confidently transport it even over long distances. And such a cake can also be prepared in advance and frozen. But I would recommend decorating it with glaze after thawing. It's super soft, moist, with a mega-rich chocolate sponge. A very delicious coconut filling that tastes just like Bounty bars. Additionally, a very light, delicate cream. And all of this is topped with a delicious chocolate glaze. I don't even know what to say. This is simply one of the most delicious cakes in my life. It's really easy and quick to make, yet it turns out so big, tall, beautiful, and, of course, very tasty. For me, the sweetness level is perfect, so I wouldn't change anything at all. But of course, all sweet tooths can add more sugar to the cream or use milk chocolate instead of dark chocolate for the glaze. In general, it's up to you. The cake holds its shape perfectly, and you can even cut it into very thin slices. There's a lot of cream filling, and the sponge cake itself is very soft, so the cake literally melts in your mouth. I'm 100% sure that all coconut lovers will appreciate this cake. My mom isn't particularly fond of coconut, but she really liked this cake. So be sure to give it a try.